We are on Daf Kaf Chesem Rao 55. A few very interesting cases the Gemara comes up with tonight. Actually, none of them, as far as I recall, are anywhere in the Bavli. And we're up to Rabbi Avin, which is starting from the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines down. The last word in the line is a resh. Okay? Have it? It's not germane. Maybe it'll be germane later on, but not right now. Rabbi Avin Mishem Rabbanan. Rabbi Avin in the Mishem Rabbanan Talmud. Rabbi Avin, the name of the rabbis of Bavel, said there's a fundamental machlokes, which even though it's brought in the name of rabbis of Bavel, it's not in the Bavli at all. Ein l'chayari b'shus. If a guy goes down, the case I'm talking about here is a case where Reuven stole a field from Shimon, and Levi bought that field from Reuven, and then Levi enhances that field. Okay, Levi enhances the field. So what does Levi get? So normally we have the concept of if you go down to your friend's field and enhance it without permission, they get whatever's less. Either you get your expenses back, or you get the improvement back. The enhancement, whatever's less is what you get. Okay, so Rabbi Avin, the name of Rabbanan Talmud, said here too it's the same thing. Whatever Levi enhanced in the field, when ein l'chayar b'rshus, right? It is not. He didn't go down with permission. Therefore, v'yado l'tachtoina etzel Shimon. Literally, his hand is on the lower end, meaning he gets whatever is less from Shimon. Shimon is here not the thief. Shimon is the person from whom it was stolen, right? So Shimon pays whatever is less in terms of Levi's expenditure or Levi's enhancement of the field. That's how Shimon reimburses Levi. The Rabbi Yossi Rabun, Mishem Rabbanan Tamon, Rabbi Yossi Rabun, the name Rabbanan over there, said a chiddush though. He said, Ein l'chayar b'rshus. Yes, it's true, he didn't get permission. But Yoda Yoina Legab it's a Reuven. He goes back to the Gazlan. Reuven was the thief, and takes from the Reuven whatever's greater, either his expenses or the enhancements. Because it's true, vis-a-vis Levi, the true owner, he's at a loss. His hand is lower. But vis-a-vis Reuven, who sold him the stolen field, he's at a high, and therefore he can get the higher side.
So in other words, he makes up the difference. Whatever he doesn't get from Shimon, he gets from Reuven.
Yeah, I guess so. I assume he probably goes after Shimon first, and whatever he can't get from Shimon, he'll get from Reuven. That's probably the case. Like co-insurance, right? So you go after wherever you go, after the deeper pockets, right? But I assume first you're right. First you go to Shimon, and only afterwards to Reuven. Okay. Says more further. Reuven shugaz al sadem Shimon. Now Reuven stole a field from Shimon. V'mechar Levi, and then Shimon sold that field to Levi. V'ach Levi, and Levi went in the Sana Matana and gave it as a gift to Yehuda. Okay, so far so good. Reuven stole a field from Shimon. Reuven, the thief, went and sold the field to Levi. Levi then gave the field as a gift to Yehuda. Okay? So Uba Shimon Vitar from Yehuda. Then Shimon came and grabbed it away from Yehuda. Shimon came and took the field back because it's his field, right? So he is entitled to do that. So Yehuda lo azil gabe Levi. Yehuda stuck. Yehuda can't go back and demand restitution from Levi. Di matana, because he got it as a gift. Since he got it as a gift, so what is he going to demand, right? Levi also gabe Reuven. However, Levi can go back to Reuven because vis-a-vis him, dehi mechira, he bought it. Now it's true he no longer has it, right? Because he gave as a gift to Yehuda. But nevertheless, Levi can demand reparations from the thief Reuven, which is an amazing concept. Yeah, the law is like that. No, it's not. No, this is new. It's all brand new. So why is the halacha like that? Well, it's an amazing concept, right? I think explicitly, I bring down explicitly in the back, the Gilin Ephraim, I think brings down where this is brought out halacha and Choshen Mishpat. So it is halacha. It's because Yochel Meimar, Levi Azil Gabi Reuven. I don't know where it left off, but you can't go back to Levi because it was a gift to him. Levi also got Reuven the Mechir. Levi go back to him because it was a sale to him. So there's more the obvious question which we're all asking. V'lo matana yevtina gave it away as a gift. What is he demanding? What restitution should he get? So Yochum Meimale could say, Boy Havina Meitanle, I wanted to give it to him, the Yerushalmi Tiva, and he'll pay me back with goodwill. The Nachas Ruach, which, in other words, if I give you a gift, that causes you to have goodwill towards me. So I expect that some return I will eventually get, right? So if that's the case, Levi's saying, you caused me the loss of Yehuda's goodwill, which I would have gotten from him by giving him a gift. You have to reimburse me for the goodwill I lost. Now, Yehuda doesn't get anything back from that. Yehuda's off the creek. But Levi can get reimbursed by Ruvain, the thief, for the goodwill of Yehuda that he lost.
What? What if Yehuda, who received the gift, improves?
That's a good question. He'd probably go back to Shimon and get whatever's less. But that's it. The buck stops there. Because he didn't go that right. He never paid for it, so he can't go directly to Reuven and say, you owe me for the rest of it. So you probably go to Shimon, but he can't go back to Reuven the thief. Right. That's right. That's what it is in this case. So now, next case. Reuven Gazal son of Shimon. Reuven stole a field from Shimon. Right, so it's a pattern. When the son of Matan Levi, and Reuven, the thief himself, gave it as a gift to Levi. Right? V'harach Levi u'mechora Yehuda. In the opposite case here, Levi sold it to Yehuda. So Reuven gave as a gift, and Levi sold to Yehuda. Uva Shimon v'tir from Yehuda, and Shimon came then and grabbed from Yehuda. So here that law is reversed. Yehuda has a gabel Levi. Yehuda goes to Levi and asks him for a gab for restitution to u'mechora, because he sold it to him. And he has to therefore he guarantees it. Levi loves the Gabi Reuven, but Levi, the buck stops at Levi. Levi can't go back to Reuven, the Himatona, because Reuven gave them as a gift, so there's no achrayas, no guarantee in it. Demar Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbanan, because Rabbi Yossi said nei Rabbanan, ain't shibud l'matona. There's no guarantee, no lien for a gift. So therefore, although Levi has to reimburse Yehuda, Reuven does not have to reimburse Levi. Okay. Next case. Now, this case we have to change Gersos a little bit here. Reuven, the Shai Teresidok brings down change Gersos, the name of the Rishonim. Reuven Gazel Sada Mishimon. Reuven stole a field from Shimon. Okay, that's so far so good. Umechara Levi, and he sold it to Levi. Now, here we're missing obvious words. It's obviously we're missing words. It should say, and Shimon grabbed it back. Right? It doesn't say that here. But what happened after Shimon grabbed back from Levi, which is obvious, Reuven bought it back from Shimon. Okay, they played round robin here. Okay, so Reuven stole a field from Shimon. Right? Reuven stole a field from Shimon and sold it to Levi. And then Shimon take it back from Levi, and then Reuven bought it back from Shimon again. So do you have that clear?
Yeah. This time he bought it instead of stole it.
Yeah, second time, exactly. Second time he bought it instead of stole it. Okay? So now, Velohi speak, Levi did not have enough time, Lichtov Tirfa, to write a document grabbing, to grab the field back from Reuven, ad Shemes, until before Reuven died. So the truth is, let's take the case step by step. Really, this field, which Reuven first stole, then bought, should go to Levi as the achrayas, right? Because Levi bought it from Reuven. The thing is, before they managed to get through the paperwork, Reuven died. So they didn't get through the paperwork. Can Levi now get it, or can he not get it at this point? Okay? So it says, Mar de Manu. Who does it belong to? Rav Huna and Rav Chia Breda Rab had a machlokas. Chai Rowan said, "In kasav shtar tirfo, if you manage to get the document under the wire, it's obviously, nobody makes a change that I noticed, but it's obviously supposed to be shel Levi, not shel Reuven. If you wrote the document and got through the paperwork, then obviously it belongs to Levi, because it's coming to him as a guarantee for it having been taken away from him earlier, right? If it didn't get through the paperwork, so tough luck. then shall Ruvain he. Then it belongs to Ruvain, obviously Ruvain's heirs, right? The Charona Amar, the other one said, it doesn't matter, you don't need the paperwork. He kasav, he lo kasav, whether you wrote it or whether you didn't write it, shall Levi, he regardless belongs to Levi. There was paperwork is just paperwork, right? Red tape. But if you can't get through the red tape on time, even if Reuven upped and died, nevertheless, the field goes to Levi. Okay? Says the Gemara, Ramana said, Mistabra da ella, the law. Meaning, I don't like this, rather, only. The Reuven, that rather it should belong to Reuven. The Yachol Meimar Lei, he can say to him, Mila de lo didi zabnis lach. Levi can say that. One second.
They have sometimes in the synagogue some old books. You want to check. I don't know that's what
it's Mila de lo didi. I forgot what this means.
45.
Oh, okay. He wants to say like this. He wants to say, look to the Korbaneda. He wants to say, again, Mistabra da law. It says it doesn't make sense what you say, but rather the opposite. Reuven could say to him, Mila de lo diti. What I sold you to begin with was not a valid sale, right? Because obviously I stole it. So therefore, since I sold you to begin with not a valid sale, therefore you cannot come and take this field away from me. Now, he might require reimbursement, but he can't money cash, but not necessarily this field. So he cannot come and demand this field. Even if the paperwork is written, Shtar Tirfa, the paperwork should not be written just specifically against this field. It's like any other case where we go after the guy, first try and collect cash, and we can't get cash, so then we go after whatever land is available. But Reuven or his heirs can say, this land is not automatically what you should get. Right? Because when I sold you the first time, it was not a valid sale. So therefore it's true, I owe you money. But I don't necessarily owe you this parcel of land per se. Okay? I give you any other parcel of land I want. Okay? It says Gemara, now going back to the opposite. Rabbi Yossi Rabun, Lo mistabro do, that doesn't make sense, Ella de Levi. No, on the contrary, it's Levi's. Why? It should be the Levi, Yochel Meimar Le. Levi can say to him, hi, this is all supposed to be one word, should be a hyphen here between the two lines. Hi, the ukmach akum lizvine tavas. This is what you sold to me. You sold to me in a good sale everything which will sustain this field in front of you. Meaning that in any sale, there's implicit that the seller is going to do all that he can to make sure that the sale is a valid sale. So even though theoretically the sale is null and void because it was stolen property, but since it did go through the motions of the sale, so therefore Levi can say, you undertook to validate the sale as much as possible. And therefore, if somehow or another you Reuven, get this land back, then you have to give it to me. Okay. That's basically the end of the series of gifts issue. Ma'alikvos parnasa min meshubad. With machlokas, we didn't come to any resolution. The question was who gets what, and the bottom line was that we say that well, it's a machlok. The two-way machlok is basically either three-way machlok. Either it depends when if the document was written or not, the paperwork was handled. It doesn't depend if the paperwork was done. It belongs to Reuven Reuven and his heirs get to keep it regardless. It doesn't matter if the paperwork was done. Levi gets to get it regardless. So the three possibilities, and every possibility finds here somebody who advocates it. Okay. What is the halacha to collect parnasa minam shubadim? Parnasa is It's a funny thing to have here in the middle of Gittin. We did have it in Ksubas though. Ma'ali Mishubadim means the dowries for the orphans, the girl orphans. Can you collect them from property which is under lien, which was sold by the father or the brothers actually, as we're going to see in Amud Beis? Can you go back and collect the money from there for the dowries of the sisters? Because the halacha is that the brothers have to provide a tenth of the estate per sister who gets married, right? So therefore, if they sold the property, can you go and collect the property back in order to provide the dowry for the unmarried daughters? So it says, it's machlokas, right? Rabbi Zir said, Rabbi Yochanan lo gavi, Rabbi Yochanan did not collect. Man gavi, who did collect? Rabbi Chanina of Rabbi Eloi gavi. Rabbi Eloi, they collected. Rabbi Yasa is paked madali yasmin. Rabbi Yasa was left a sum of money which belonged to orphans. V'avatam and parnasa. There were girls who needed a dowry. Oil uvda kumi Rabbi Lazar. So I brought the issue in front of Lazar for kumi Rabbi Shimon ben Yochim in front of Shimon ben Yochim. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochim. So Shimon ben Yochim said, "Lo mutav she'isparnasu mishal aviem v'lo mishal tzlaka." Logic dictates, isn't it better for us to provide their dowry from the Yisraelim, whatever was left over from the Yisraelim, as opposed to going from to tzlaka, right? So therefore, we should take this stuff from whatever land was left to the Yisraelim. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the shiloh was, because I guess the shiloh was that some of the property was meshubad ultimately, right? That in fact, some of the property had already been sold, because otherwise I don't understand what the issue is. So somehow, some of the property, because otherwise it's takonat rabbanon, that you take the dowry from the property left in the estate. So obviously the question was some of the estate had already been sold off. Do you go to that property which is sold off when necessary in order to collect the tenth? So it says, because Amar Le Rabbi Lazar said, now here the gears is messed up. It should be davar she'ilu yavo lifnei rabboseinu. Something which, if it came in front of our rabbis, it should be the two words missing here. Ve'ein rabboseinu rogim, but they wouldn't touch this money, because parnasa doesn't actually come from property which is under shibud, as we saw previously. Vanos imaisim, we're going to collect it. So in Rabbi Yasser it says ana yahiv. The truth is, I see that actually now I forgot the Carbon Ada, I think, learns that the issue is whether it's only from metaltlin or whether it's only from karka or also from metaltlin. That was the issue. Not the chasim b'shubarim, but rather the isan the tenth of the property from the estate. Does that come only from land or holdings, or also from bank accounts? Because here he was left with a bank account of the assignment. So since it's a bank account of the assignment, the shaila is, does that also underlean for the tenth, or it's only the real estate? So that's what they said. Well, we should give it to his father's money. It should pay for marrying off his daughters, right? That was the logic here, right? So then we said no, but the rabbis before us would never have taken from movable objects; they only have taken from land. So it says, I'm Rabbi Yasir, it says, I'm going to give it for the dowry. If the Yisomim rise up and complain, I'll pay them back out of my own pocket. Nevertheless, Chamun, the Yisomim saw what was happening, V'lo Aruna did not complain, which obviously set precedent that you can take from their bank accounts. A Gazar Din, and in fact there was an interesting Psak Halacha. Gzar Din Nofak. It was a certain Psak Din which came out. Tzipor Basav Sholem. It's a girl's name. Tzir in Yerushalmi here says maybe it's supposed to be Tzipora, because they never found a girl's name Tzipor, right? Balak ben Tzipor was a man's name, son of a man's name. But here it's clearly a girl's name, so maybe it's supposed to be Tzipora. Tzipora Basav Sholem. But the Rabbi Simon, Rabbi Yaakov, Eder, B'Shem, Rabbi Shimon, Barba, they all said, Anav Rabbi Seinu, we and the rabbis, Gavinu Lomin, Metaltlin, we actually collected the dowry from the Metaltlin, from movable objects, opposed to real estate, Kiminag Mekoima houses the minhag in her locality. Rav Havakosiv, an interesting historical episode here. Rav Havakosiv L'Rebbe, Rav used to write for Rebbe, it should be the Koshari Teresel changed it to Igrin. Okay? So he was writing to Rebbe a letter, instead of Avrun, Igrin, a Geras, a letter, Al Dai Rebbe Chia Rabbah, in the name of Rebbe Chia the Great. So Rebbe Chia had his nephew Rab write over a letter to send to Rebbe, who was both of theirs. Rabbi Yonasi was the Rebbe of both of them, and we don't know the letter. I guess was a regular letter. It was just how you doing, what's up. But Rabbi Yechia Kasi Ben Ishita Rechia wrote between the lines the following halacha. The following query. If the Yisayim, or the following statement, I guess, if the Yisayim got up and sold the property, right? And now we need to collect for the dowry. Govin min parnos. So we collect from the chasim mishubadim from what they sold for the purpose of dowry. Ve'en govin mizana. So if we don't collect from the chasim mishubadim for the purpose of sustaining the daughters, feeding them. Amdu v'shibdu. What if the Yisayim didn't sell property, but they put the property as collateral on a loan? Hashibud has I don't know what the status of shibud is. If shibud is like free and clear, then you could use it to support the daughters in their mazonos. If shibud, putting on the lien for collateral, is not like free and clear, then you can't use it for mazonos, just like you can't use it for mazonos, because shibud from property which is truly sold, you can only collect for dowry. Property which is free and clear, you can also use for mazonos. This property which has been designated as collateral, he says, I don't know what to do. And I guess he was expecting Rebbe to, is this getting too early for you?
No, it's...
Okay, fine. The life's getting too complicated. It was missing it. You missed an interesting Gemara, though, so far, right? Wasn't it interesting?
Missing? I'm here.
No, so far. So in any event, we learned Levi said a similar thing. If the father put something on the lien, or the son put something on the lien is the wrong word. The father sold property from the estate before he died. The son sold property from the estate after the father died. So we collect from that property which was sold for parnasa, for dowry, but not for food. Amar Rabbi said, not true. It's not if the father sold, only if the son sold. Why is that? Because was stuff the father sold, that doesn't go to dowry. Dowry during the lifetime of the father is at the father's discretion. You can't go the father in order to give a dowry. It's not just his discretion. It's only funds he has at his disposal. In order to find your daughter with a dowry, you can't go back to Lekuchos and say okay, I need property back which I sold you in order to give my daughter a dowry, right? It's at the father's discretion, and also only things which he has at his disposal. So therefore, the father sold property. The takana the rabbanon of a dowry for Yisaimus doesn't allow us to go back and collect that property which the father sold. What it does allow us to go back and collect is the property which was sold by the children, because then already, at the point of death, that's when the takana d'rabbanan of a tenth of the property kicked in, and then all property sold subsequently is under prior lien to that takana d'rabbanan, right? In B'chai Oven Ogoven, it says if during the life of the father you can't collect, you certainly can't collect that stuff after the father's death. Rabbi Yosef said, "Nisu abonos." Now, what happens if the daughters get married and they take their portion of the estate with them? So the almana nizayis, the widow still has the right to go to the daughters and ask them to support her. Because I had told about a case, obviously, where there's not enough by the boys, or there are no boys. She has the right to go to the daughters and say, "Okay, you girls support me." But now it's more than that. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Ba, it should be Barbaray. Rabbi Ba, the grandson. For Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda, Barbaray, the grandson, the Achse of the sister. So these are two cousins. One was the grandson of and one was his sister's grandson. B'Shem they both said Afilu Mesu. Even if these daughters who got the property of their father died, and the property now went to these daughters' husbands, the Amona still gets from it. Because this property is under lien for this Amona in order to provide it with either Mizonos or Ksuva. Even if it was inherited by daughters, who then bequeathed it to their husbands, it's still under lien to the Amona to get fed from them. However, B'nai Bani Mayin, what if the boys died and they left children? Do the grandchildren have to sustain their grandfather's Amona? Right? there is no longer any children around. The second generation is gone. What about the grandchildren? Okay? So says the Gemara, grandchildren like children. Rabbi, usually that's it's a Gadic statement, but here it's a halachic statement. They're required to cough up the dough. Rabbi Yossi Amar Em Bnei Banim Kebanim. They're not required to cough up the dough. Shmuel Rabbi Yossi Rabun, Rabbi Metanya Hava Yasvin. They were sitting. Sarah Mema. They wanted to say He Bnei Banim Shakan, He Bnei Banim Shalalon. Just like children, Bnei Banim all over inherit, right? They get the inheritance that's passed down to them. So too here they're required to feed the widow, right? Armalun Rabbi Yossi Rabun said no. B'nei Banim Kafta Lein Yerushas Torah. This is actually a quite nice explanation of B'nei Moshe. Which I assume is the Pasha explanation. He says that the children have their own debt vis-a-vis the Almana, or vis-a-vis their sisters, and that since that's a debt they have to give from Bnei Beinonis and without a shvua, because that's halacha. It's a debt which the Chazal placed upon them. The grandchildren, it's not a debt upon them. They are like any other heirs. Yes, it's true, but heirs only have to pay from ziburis, from the lowest grade, and also only after an oath, only after a shvua. So therefore, in this case over here, it's true the grandchildren have to sustain the amana, but with much tighter restrictions than the children. The children have to give beinonis like a baal chov, except for mizonos, not for ksuva. Ksuva sisha is biziburis, but for mizonos they have to give with the beinonis and without a shvua. The grandchildren only have to give ziburis and only with a shvua. Okay, says the Gemara further. Talmud we learned over there. Now, all these things, as far as I recall, are mostly not in the Bavli. Although this one here, it says on the side that it is in the Bavli, but it's I don't remember it. Talmud we learned over there. This I think I do remember actually. We learned over there. Reuven says to Shimon, "Listen, your father owes me $100. So the other guy responds. Shimon responds, "No, I only owe your father $50, not $100. Potter is exempt. Why is that moed b'miktsas? Because he says like return moed b'miktsas means somebody who concedes half a debt, and moed b'miktsas the raisa has to take an oath, right? Shvur. So why? No, it doesn't have a migo, right? The reason is because. Well, let me explain in a minute. But if you come on and say my father loaned you $100 and you concede $50, then you do have to take a shvur. What's the difference? You don't have to take a shvur. Sorry. What's the difference? Yeah, because the case with Allah is that if I come to you and I claim for you $100 and you only concede $50, we say really you owe the whole $100. Why are you only conceding $50? Because you're embarrassed to deny the whole thing, so therefore you're only admitting half of it, but you really owe the whole thing, and therefore you have to take a shvur if you want to get out of paying the whole thing. However, if I'm not the actual creditor, but I'm saying my father's your creditor, then in that case we say the maze ben. A person is brazen vis-a-vis the son of his creditor. So really, you could have denied the entire thing. Psychologically, you would have denied the entire thing. The fact that you didn't deny it is a migo, right? But it's like Meshach Veda is saying, I could have denied the whole thing. Since I didn't deny the whole thing, you have to believe me that I only owe 50 and not 100. Right, so we don't say that migo where the creditor himself makes the demand. Because they always say the reason why it's no migo is just not brazen enough to deny the whole thing. But here we say that there is such a migo. That's right. Amar Eliezer says it's not takona tik.
What?
Because you can say that by any mode of a mixed house.
Yeah.
He could always been a kofar bakol.
You could have said that, but we say ain't no maze pun of nebal chova.
But that's a Rabbanan kind of thing.
No, it's the Raisa.
Ain't on a maze?
Yeah. That's Rabba's reason, or Rava's reason, I forget whose, for one of the two, for why the Torah said Moedim and Mikdash Yeshava. Yeah. That's Marabah Mitzia. Really want to deny everything, but ain't no dameis but in Nebal Chovo. And he can't pay the whole thing, so therefore he's going to just concede half of it. That's what Mar says there. So in Amen, so says Mar, but Amr Abelazar said takona tiknu bo kederach shetiknu mitzia. It's a takona, really midaraisa. You should make the shvua because it is more than a mixas. You're conceding half alone, but they made a takona here just like they made such a takona by a mitzia. What's the takona mitzia? The Tanina we learned hamoitzi mitzia. Somebody who finds a mitzia lo yishava does not take an oath. Meaning tikun olam because of rectification of the world. Because if you make them take shvuas, nobody's ever going to return mitzias. Amr Raimona the Raibah said. Now, this is a little bit complicated with the Gersos here. Amr Raibah Masnisa, that which somebody finds a mitzia doesn't have to take a shvua. Is b'shamar lo shnei shvar matzasali. The loser says you found 2 oxen of mine, and the other guy says it's missing here, but it should say the other guy says I only found 1. So in that case we say it's might have mixas. The guy says you found 2. He says I only found 1. If the people should return things that they find. So therefore we said we let him off to without a shvur. However, if the finder says I found 2 oxen, and I return for you, switch the next line with this line, and I return to you 1 of them. Vuomer, and the loser says it should be Eshneim. You didn't give back to me either one of them. So here the guy says I gave you back 1 already. The other guy says you didn't give me back either of them, right? Everybody agrees he found 2. Just he claims he gave 1 back, and the other guy says no, you didn't. So in that case, lo bezetiknu. In this case, they didn't let the guy off the hook. They didn't let the guy off the hook in this case because here, we should have returned both at once. Here it's not so gefährlich to require to take a shvua. It's a rare case because most times person returns a mitzvah, returns the entire mitzvah at once. So therefore, in a case where there's potential for fraud, in this case, we retain the possibility of shvua. Right? But that's one opinion. But Rabbi Pedos b'Shem Rayon said no. B'zeh tiknu. Also in this case, they made a takana no shvua necessary because also tikkun olam. If you give people a hassle about how they're giving back a mitzvah, so they're not going to give mitzvahs back. Avo b'rishoina. And that's the kind of Abba Rishona. But in the first case, where the guy says, I lost 2, and he says, I only found 1, right? So in that case, Dvar Torah, Midaraisas no motive and mixas in that case. It's not just the Rabbana because of Tikkun Olam that there's no Shua, but even Minatorah does not. How so? Yochel, in a case, it could be in a case where Amalo Shnei Shvar Matzasali. The loser says, you found 2 oxen of mine. Vormei says, Lo Matzas Yela Echad. I only found 1 ox. Yochi Echayev, in that case we say he's liable. Talmud Lomar, no. We say the only time he's liable is Amotza Aveda, when he found an Aveda, the Kichesh Bar, and denied that he found it. Prat Lazesh Lo Kichesh, he didn't deny he found something. He says, I found less than you say I found. So it's a different parameter than Moedim Mixas. By Moedim Mixas, the fact that he conceded half of the loan, not the entire loan, is the cause for the shvur. If it was kofer alcohol, if you denied everything, it would be exempt from shvur. By mitzvah, it's the exact opposite. If you deny the entire thing, then you take a shvur. Right? If you only deny part of it, then you don't have to take a shvur. Okay? Well, then that's from the Torah itself. The Torah itself says that there's such a distinction between Moedim and Mikzas and Motzei Mitzvah. Then there are other times when Motzei Mitzvah doesn't take a shvur, not because of the Daraisa, but because of Tikkun Olam, right? Which is a case where he said, he conceded, I found 2 and I gave you back 1. So then that's already, in that case, he says, I found 2 and I gave you back 1. So in that case, really, he should take a shvur. Why? Because that's not on the mitzvah already. That's on the giving back, and that might be considered to be moedim and mixas, right? Because he agrees that he found 2. He concedes that point. The question is how many he actually gave back. So then maybe there should be a shvur d'oraisa, not because of the mitzvah, but because of moedim mixas. And now we say b'nei tikkun olam, we exempt the guy. What's the case where you don't exempt the guy from a shvur? Okay, or even the rabbanon. So that's the case. Avlim amar lo, if he said, yisi. Barosh Kagi, the loser says, I was standing on the top of my roof. And I saw you pulling 2 oxen tied together. Or shnei shvar, same idea. Shnei shvar kshurim mashachtali. 2 tied oxen you draw it away from me. V'omer lo mashachti elechad. He says I only pulled one away. Lo b'zeh tiknu. We hear they didn't make a takona that he can get off the hook because this is more like theft than like mitzvah. Right. So therefore, in this case, we don't let him get off the hook.
I don't understand the Gemara's distinction between saying that I lost, you lost, and I found only one, or that you lost, I found 2, but gave you back 1. I know that there's this distinction, but I haven't seen so much.
Right,
It's the same process.
The shiur d'oraisa is one of 2 situations. What are you saying? Either where I denied having found something, and there's indications that I did find it. Denied it altogether. If I admitted that I found something, but not all you claim I found, then I don't have to take a shiur d'oraisa. So only where I denied finding something altogether do I have to take a shiur. Again, if there indications that I did find it. There's another case where we all agree on what I found, but we're disagreeing about how much I gave back. In that case, the question is, it's a case of moedim and miktas, because already it's not about the act of finding, but about the act of returning. So it should be similar to a loan, and just like any other moedim and miktas, one should be liable to take a shvuah in that case. The reason why there's one opinion here that we let him off the hook is in order that if we make too cumbersome, even the procedure of giving back the mitzvah, so then nobody's going to want to give back mitzvahs that they find. That's the approach. Yes.
I'm turning off.
Okay, why are you writing all over your face? Okay. You don't know? Okay. So, flu chicken pox, right? Interesting. Okay. So, says the Gemara, with the Kavasa. A similar case to one we had before. If a person instead of saying, you owe my $500, he says, I was there at the time he was dying. And he could claim for you $100 about Deiselo, and you conceded to him, and he said, I only conceded $50, in this case, he doesn't get off the hook. Why in this case he's not get off the hook? Because in this case, it's not a Meshav Aveda, because the son says he was there. So actually, his being there gives him the status of a creditor, and that we will go through then what we say by anyone makes us say it's not a Meshav Aveda. He's not doing a favor by conceding anything, because the son claims to have direct knowledge of it. So therefore, in this case, he's like a regular mitzvah, like a regular guy concedes he owns part of the loan, and he has to actually pay. Okay. Now, or take a shvuah. Okay. Next Mishnah, Halacha Dal. Now, most of Halacha Dal is in the Bavli, unlike Halacha Gimel. Yisraelim who are put into foster care by a Baal Bais, or Shmilam Aviyah Apotropos, or before they died, the father appointed them for Apotropos. Chayev La'atzer Persen, the Apotropos has got to take Meiser off their fruit. Apotropos Shemino Aviyah Yisraelim Yishava, and Apotropos was appointed by the father. He has to take a shvuah that he's doing his job trustworthily. Shenul Basin is appointed by Basin Leishav, he does not take a shvuah. Abishol says the exact opposite. The one who's appointed by Basin does have to take a shvuah. The one who's appointed by the father does not. The Gemara is going to discuss the machlokas. Says the Gemara, 1 second. What do you say? The Apotropos has to take a shvuah. It says Atem, you, Pralashutim, that precludes partners. So from this we should deduce that partners can't take truma of one another. Atem pratla apotropos also precludes an apotropos taking truma. Atem pratla term sheder shalo, and it also atem should also preclude taking truma which is not yours. Right? The same idea. All these things should be the same principle. So here too, how can the apotropos take of truma? Says more. Well, look, atem pratla shutvim it's atem which includes partners taking truma off of each other. Haki says, "But then we learn shut v'shatarmu." So discussion is after truma is about shut taking truma off each other. So maybe you say maybe you say it says atem only you yourselves by trumas meiser. That there the guy himself is taking off, but by truma g'dayla maybe one guy take off for the other, and that's what it's talking about. It says the shutfin take truma off of each other. So it says the Mara can't be. Because Though we extrapolate all things from one type of truma to each other, so therefore whatever parameters apply by one, apply for the other. Ella, so rather says the Gemara, kan la'alocha, kan la'maisa. In terms of halacha, in terms of halacha, theoretically, shutfim can take off from each other. In practice, we don't want shutfim to take off from each other. So, no, the opposite. One second.
More physical. That's why you have a match in the soul. It's called a match.
I see. Okay, I missed Kormeir before. Kormeir says it's not what halacha l'maisa usually mean. He says that before the deed you shouldn't do it because it's preferable not to, right? So after the deed we assume it works because we assume that the guy would have been acquiescent. But before the deed, we ask you please to refrain from taking truma off the shutfim. So be that as it may, l'maisa, we see here, just like atem preclude shutfim, atem should also preclude apotropos, right? So if that's the case, the Gemara asks the question, what about our Mishnah, right? Says the Gemara, atem brought apotropos. You said atem precludes apotropos, but I didn't learn our Mishnah. Some chaytz abavais, some living under foster care, or shemilam avin apotropos, or the father designated for them apotropos. Chayev laser apoperusein. Apotropos says take meiser off their fruit. So says the Gemara, Chavraya Amru, the Chavraya said, kan la apotropin liolam, kan la apotropin l'shor. It depends if they're permanent apotropin or temporary apotropin. A permanent apotropos, he's got to take off trumas and meiser, otherwise his charges won't be able to eat, right? A guy who's a temporary apotropos for one specific task, in that case, he can't take off trumas and meisers, right? So therefore, we say the apotropos la'olam can. Now, the truth is, if you're precluded from a pasuk of atem, I really didn't think about this when I was preparing. It's precluded from a pasuk of atem, it should be the rights, and the apotropos should be barred from doing it no matter what. So we have to say that it's like zochlan shlobafanov. Since it's a long-term prospect and they won't have any other food to eat, so then in that case, even though theoretically they shouldn't be allowed to do it, in practice we do allow them to do it because we say it's like a schus for the assignment. It's like clear to us that they would agree to do it if they had the capacity to agree. That's what you have to say. So it says the Gemara further. Rabbi Yossi asks, if they're talking about a permanent apotropos, so in that case, what do you do with the brisa which says about this Mishnah, v'dod detane moicher hu avodim avlo karkos? It says that this apotropos can only sell slaves but not real estate. And if he's a permanent apotropos, why can't he even sell real estate? Ella rather says more can be yosem goro, can be yosem cotton. Where the apotropos can take trumas and meises when the orphan in his care is an adult because he can become a shliach. The apotropos cannot take trumas and meises when the orphan in his care is a cotton because the orphan in his care is cotton, so therefore the cotton cannot evince any das. Okay? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan said, B'tchila, initially, aim amidim apotropos yisayim milchayvlem. When he doesn't apotropos to take on themselves certain tasks of being in charge of the yisayim's property, it's only for their benefit. If, however, in the course of doing something beneficial, they cause damage, right? They cause a loss. Okay, those are the breaks. They cause the loss, and the yisayim have to, so to speak, suffer the loss. Because we tried, okay, we tried to do something good. But it didn't work out exactly what we anticipated, they have to suffer the loss. That's the gamble we take. Rabbi Yossi argues, he says, Ben b'tchil, ben b'sof. No matter what the case is, whether it's l'chatchil or b'diavad, Eim amidim lohem, we do not give them an apotropos, ben b'tchil, ben l'schus, ben l'chova, whether it's for their merit or for their demerit. No apotropos for no purpose, anytime. So it argues by Mishnah, right? Says the Gemara, Masisa pliga Rabbi Chanina. Harmish Rayis Chanina. It says Ma'amidim lem apotropos. It says Harmish Yidukim apotropos. How can Rabbi Chanina say there's no apotropos? So it says more. You know what? Our Mishnah Kohen is a very limited Mishnah. Shani Yahi. This is talking about a specific case. B'shor shlo yelch v'yazik. We're talking about where the Yisraelim have oxen. So the apotropos here is specific, literal sense of guardian. Has a specific case of guardian. Specifically, it doesn't need to be guardian. But what does guardian mean? To guard the oxen, that the oxen not go and damage. Okay, that's what it's for. Says the Gemara, hazik. Well, okay. So in that case, what happens if the oxen do damage? Right? Let's say so the ox gets out. Mishalmin. Who pays? Rabbi Yochanan Mishal Yisrael. Rabbi Yochanan says the orphans pay. It's for their detriment. But as you said, whenever we appoint, according to Rabbi Yochanan, whenever you appoint a apotropos, even though initially it's for benefit, if a deficit arises from it, the Yisraelim have to accept that deficit upon themselves. So here too, they pay, the Yisraelim's property pays for the damage wrought by their ox, right?
Now these are minor Yisraelim.
Minor Yisraelim.
Responsible for.
Sure, what?
How can they be responsible? That's what the apotropos is appointed to take the responsibility.
That's exactly what we're grappling with. Does he in fact take that responsibility? Gemara is not clear about that. So that's what Gemara is saying. Yeah, this might not be in the. This Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yosef might not be in the Bavli. You're right. It probably isn't.
We always had apotropos
as a catch-all. Yeah, right. Rabbi Yochanan says, apotropos has to pay. The law is by Rabbi Yochanan case. Even if Rabbi Yochanan didn't explicitly hold this way, Leis Mil say Amra Kain, do not his words indicate this? Because law who Amar lo Sofim Chavu Chavu isn't he the one who said in the end if they have a deficit and the deficit is suffered by the Yisraelim's property. So that's why even Rabbi Yochanan not say explicitly that the ox gets paid. The ox gets paid from their property as opposed to apotropos. We can learn it out. We can deduce that. But Rabbi Yochanan said if there is a loss, they have to suffer the loss. We're getting there. Apotropos. Now here, this isn't about. I need a drink. Now this next machlok is in the Bavli. I think you're right. The machlok for Yochanan is not, but this is just an explanation of our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, apotropos. The reason why the Tanakama holds an apotropos who's appointed by the father, son takes the shiur. She'ein darko livchan, because when a father appoints apotropos, he usually doesn't check him out, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. He just gives it to a friend of the family, right? So therefore, he has to take an oath. Whereas Shemino Basin, well, Yeshua, the one appointed Basin is not taking shiur. Shadarko leave Khan, because Basin checks out the guy before they appoint him to find a trustworthy fellow. Abishol Merchil Hadvar Shabbat says the exact opposite. Apotropos Shemino Avisam, Apotropos appointed by the father of the orphans. Lo Yeshua doesn't have to take a shiur. Mnei Diachel Mei Marlei, because he can say Tavus Avina Avidulach. I did you a favor. You're going to make me take a shiur? Chutzpah. Shemino Basin Shabbat, because one is appointed by Basin, it doesn't take has to take a shiur. B'nei Shehu Keno say schar, because he's like a paid watchman. Why is that? Because he gets all sorts of honor that he is considered to be a trustworthy individual by Basin. Intangible, but benefits nonetheless. Yes.
I need help washing my hands.
You need help washing your hands? Did you go to the bathroom? Okay, 1 second. I see the Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbanan. So it seems that Rabbi Yochanan goes like Rabbanan, because Rabbanan, Rabbi Yosef Kabashol seems to go like Kabashol, because Rabbi Yochanan says you have to pay from the Yisraelim, right? The Yisraelim ultimately can lose, right? So that seems to be like Rabbanan, who say that when Basin appointed him, he doesn't take an oath because he's just doing a favor to Basin. If he calls it take an oath, he's going to refuse to take the apotropos on himself, right? So too, if you're going to say the apotropos, so just like Rabbi Yochanan said, we don't make the apotropos suffer the loss. so too we're not going to make the apotropos take a shvuah, right? That's logic. If we're not going to make apotropos, right, you don't want the apotropos suffer loss because you won't do it. So too we're not going to make the apotropos take a shvuah because then he won't do it. Rabbi Yitzchak, on the other hand, who owes the apotropos never, that the same, no, the opposite. No, wait, no. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Rabbi Yochanan owes the same and do, yeah. The apotropos never suffers the loss, right? So therefore, we would never force an apotropos to take a shvuah, right? What?
There's no need for him to take
Right, there's no point there.
No, that would be a reason to take a shvuah.
Why?
He said something also,
He doesn't suffer the loss.
So of course he should take the shvuah.
and it wasn't his
It
responsibility.
was his responsibility, but we don't make the shvuah because obviously we do everything we can to convince an apotropos to become an apotropos, right? Where so that's like that seems to be like Rabbanan, who say that the one who's appointed by Beis Din lo yishava because we need to persuade him to become an apotropos. So we let him off the hook for payments and we let him off the hook for shvuah as well.
Except if he's just from himself, huh?
No, that's Abba Shol. Abba Shol says that the honor, the prestige involved is worthwhile. So he would say that's a great Yosef Chanina. Yosef Chanina says, no, we're not concerned with that because he's willing to do it because of the honor and prestige. You're not going to have to put your foot on the table. He's willing to do it because of the honor and prestige which is involved, right? So just like he's willing to do it because of the honor and prestige and suffer a loss, certainly willing to do it for the honor and prestige and be required to take a shvuah. That's logic. So it's interesting, I want to just focus on this a little bit more. Abba Shol holds that the apotropos is like an orev. An orev becomes a guarantor on a loan because of the hana which he has that he's being trusted by all the parties involved. Obviously, old days this was considered to be a major achievement, that you were considered to be such a trustworthy guy. So therefore, that's enough for him to become a shubot. Even though he might suffer a loss as a result, he might pay a loan. Same thing here, that's Abba Shol's learning, right? Even though he might suffer a loss, or Rabbi Yosef Chanina, even though the apotropos might suffer the loss, he's willing to do it in order to be because he has the shame of a trustworthy individual. And so it is willing to undertake a shvuah in order to have the name of a trustworthy individual. Says that's all that's not necessarily true. Says the Rabbi Yochanan Rabbanan, yes, it could be Rabbi Yochanan like Rabbanan. But if this birth Abba Shol, it could even know like Abba Shol. Now here the Shai Tertzel changes around the gears significantly. What it says here, he plugs in later on. What it says later on, he plugs in over here, but slightly differently. If you take a look to the last couple lines before the Mishnah, the line ends, Adam Mavriach Atzmo Min HaShvuah. You see that? So the way so he changes shvuah and tashlumin and puts it over here, and he says it should be Adam Mavriach Atzmo Min HaTashlumin Ve'en Adam Mavriach Atzmo Min HaShvuah. Meaning Rabbi Yochanan can say we can't make the apotropos pay because of the spindel principle. People who must pay will not become apotropsim. But people need to undergo a shvuas in order to become apotropsim. Shvuas are cheap, right? So therefore, it could be he also like Abba Shol that really we do force the apotropos to take a shvuah, right? He's going to refuse? No, he's only going to refuse if he has to pay. He's not going to refuse just on the basis of having to take a shvuah. That's how Rabbi Yochanan could explain it. And Rabbi Yosef Chanina could say like Abba Shol. We said it's like Abba Shol, I feel this for Rabbanan, even though like Rabbanan. And here we plug in what it says on top. Boyu Barnash Meitan Mehema, the person wants to be called credible, or Mekari, I'm sorry. Boymanash, it should be, instead of Meitan Mehema, it should be Boymanash Meitan Mehema, it should be Boymanash Meitan Kama. A person willing to pay and be called trustworthy. That's so that could be that would make Rabbi Yitzchak go even like Rabbanan. With Rabbi Yitzchak go like Rabbanan that that in fact the apotropos appointed by Beis Din does the apotropos appointed by Beis Din does not take a shvuah, right? Only the apotropos appointed by the assignment. If that's the case, why do we make that apotropos pay? Right? If we don't make him take, if according to Abba Shol, the apotropos who's appointed by, one second.
I'm sorry. I don't,
the people, whoever comes to best.
Oh, no, it's not. I got mixed up. Sorry. It's Abba Shaul. It's Rabbanan. Rabbi Yochanan like Rabbanan. Rabbi Yochanan says that the guy is willing to pay, right, in order to be an apotropos, in order to be considered trustworthy. What he's not willing to do is necessarily take a shiur, because he says, look, the reason why I'm willing to take to be an apotropos is because it's good for me to be called trustworthy. I'll be able to make money elsewhere if I'm known as a trustworthy person. So I'm willing to take the risk. Like Rabbi says, if something goes wrong, it's my loss, not the Yerushalmi's loss. But if you make me take shvuos, then by definition means you don't trust me. Because otherwise, why would you me take a shvuah? So the whole advantage of me being an apotropos is out the window. So therefore, I'm not going to become an apotropos under certain. I'm willing to pay to be an apotropos because that gives me credibility as trustworthy. But I'm not willing to have to take a shvuah because then there's no trustworthiness. Rather, you're indicating that I'm not trustworthy. You can only be trusted if I throw in a shvuah besides. So again, initially, we wanted to say Rabbi Yochanan goes specifically like Rabbanan, because Rabbanan are the ones who say that that we don't make the apotropos no based in take a shvuah. And in order to give him an incentive, and it's just like we don't, just like Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Yochanan said no. Sorry, Rabbi Yochanan said, and just like Rabbi Yochanan said yes. Rabbanan said we don't make the apotropos take a shiur. Just like Rabbi Yochanan said we don't make the apotropos pay. Right? That's what we wanted to say is the same shita. Then we said no. Rabbi Yochanan keeping going like Abba Shaul. Rabbi Yochanan holds that we don't make the apotropos pay because he won't do it if he has to pay money. But we can make the apotropos take a shvuah because people are more willing to make shvuahs than to part with their precious money. Then we said Rabbi Yochanan says the apotropos never pays, must be going like Abba Shaul, right? Who says that Abba Shaul says that Rabbi Yochanan says the Simon never pay. Yeah.
Not paying and taking a shiur.
Yeah, I know that's Abba Shaul. That's what the Gemara said, right? So Abba Shaul says. I'll draw this. Abba Shaul says that appointed by Beis Din, takes a shvuah like a shomer sachar, whereas Rabbanan say appointed by Beis Din no shvuah because he's doing us a favor, because he's doing us a favor. Okay, now we need to know. We're not talking about right now the apotropos appointed by the father. Let's leave that out of this. Okay, so Rabbi Yochanan said, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina says the apotropos always pays. Apotropos always pays. Okay, never the Yisomim, in the case of damage or loss, right? Rabbi Yochanan says the Yisomim do pay. If we take an apotropos for the benefit of the Yisomim, but at the end of if the Yisomim do suffer loss, the Yisomim do pay. Okay, the Yisomim do pay. Okay, now you take a look here at this table. We wanted to link Abba Shaul and Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina. We wanted to say that it's just like Abba Shaul says, if you're appointed by Beis Din, there's a shvuah because you're like a shomer sachar, right? So it means we're not trying to do the apotropos any favors. We don't need to provide him any incentives. So that would be in line with Rabbi Yisachina says the apotropos always pays, right? I go together. Whereas Rabbanan, they're looking for incentives. So they say, well, you know what? If you're appointed by base, you never have to take a shul because do it as a favor. That would be like Rabbi Yochanan who says, as an incentive apotropos, if there is a loss, you sign him to pay. But then what the Gemara though says is that it can work the other way as well. We can say that instead of going together, we can actually cross them. To say Rabbi Yochanan can hold like Abba Shaul too. How so? Because Rabbi Yochanan says you soimim have to pay if there's a loss because people are always concerned with their bottom lines, right? They don't want to lose money. But we can still make the apotropos take shvuas because, a person is willing to part with a shvuah sooner than he's willing to part with his money. So therefore, the shvuah he might have to take, even though money he won't have to pay. I would also say that Rabbi Yosef Chanina is going like Rabbanan. We could say, Rabbi Yosef Chanina said, an apotropos always pays, and Rabbanan seem to want to do favors to the guy to get him out of paying. So in that, Rabbi Yosef Chanina says the reason why an apotropos pays is because he's paying for the reputation being trustworthy. That's worth money to him. Right? That's what he's paying. But if you're making him take a shvuah, then he has no trustworthiness. So the whole incentive for him to be an apotropos is out the window. So therefore, as long as we're assuring that he gets trustworthiness, he'll pay for that. But we're saying he has to take a shvuah, then what's his incentive? And nobody will become an apotropos. So it's not just Abba Shaul, Rabbi Yisachina, and Rabbanan, and Rabbi Yochanan linked, but they can be cross-linked as well. Okay? Hametami v'hamedameh v'hamenasech. The new issue. So Hezek Shein and Nikar. Hezek, which is not recognizable, brings us to one of Dr. Spiegel's favorite topics. Hametame, somebody who's metame another person's food, so nobody can tell that it's damaged. Hametame, you mix truma into his chulin, nobody can tell that he can't eat anymore. Nasich, you libate his wine to vodasor, nobody can tell that it's also. Im shoyge, if the guy was unintentional potter, is exempt. Im mezid, it's intentional chayav. Hakonim shepiglu b'mikdash. Kohanim committed pigul in the base HaMikdash. Mezidim, they did it intentionally. Chayovim, they're liable. Rabbi Yehuda lo nachas the base matter. Rabbi Yehuda one day didn't go to the base medrash. Kaim Raimana, so he met up with Raimana. Amar Lei, he said, Machati Yemer, what new thing did they say today? Amar Lei, so he said, I'll tell you, Kanam Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi said, Hametame eno koisa maisa. Somebody who makes something tame, it's not like he did a deed. And therefore it has to pay. Min hadov, from where do we know this? From Truma Shenit Meis. It's a case where somebody stole Truma, and then it became Tameh. He gives it back to the Kohen and says, Harei shechol fanecha. Here's your Truma as I took it from you. He can't eat anymore because it became Tameh. That's spiritual deficit. Spiritual deficits don't count. Says the Gemara Amalei, so he said, who says? T-pot there? Shenit Meis Milah. Maybe it's only a case where it became Tameh its own, but not where the Ghana made it Tameh. You can't derive anything from that case. Says more, okay, fine. Sure, let's try this case. The Yimas let's try to find Bryce. Donis Adin. If a judge judges a case and he judges erroneously, Zikos Azak Chayv, he says the person who was liable was really meritorious. Chayv Achiv Zake, person who was really meritorious, he said was liable. Timei Sator, he said something which is Tomei is Tor, Vatir is Tomei. Or he said that which is Tomei is Tor. So in that case, it says here that he's liable to make restitution. So here it's not, he didn't do it, there was no Maisa. So it says more, no, there's also Maisa. It's where when you declare that stuff Tomei, you threw sheretz on it. In order to prove that it's Tomei, right? And Shema Magil Liyado, and that's why it's no good. Okay, now the next line is going actually to cut and paste here a little bit from later on. Well, the next we should have here a header. Should be Hamatami Amdeh Me'av Hamanasech B'Shogei Potter B'Meizel Chayiv. If it's unintentional, you're Potter. If it's intentional, you're Chayiv. This is also in the Bible as well. Rabbi Omer says B'Dino Yah Tapulam and Amrav. The Dino Yah logically the proper will be Afilu Shogei K'Shei Chayiv. Even if you Matame Medameh Manasseh made somebody else's stuff Tameh, made it mixed with Truma, and made it Avodah Zorah, you should be potter no matter you should be chayiv even b'shoigeg, right? Because he holds hezek shein nikar shmei hezek, which is not recognizable is a form of hezek. V'lomer mupater. Why do they say that he's pater? Kidei she'em modia. It's what is the other?
All the Roman emperors.
Oh, that's the type of thing you'd be very interested in.
I'm sure. It's a man.
V'lomer amru pater. Why did they say that he's pater? Kidei she'em modia. In order that he should at least tell the guy, I made your stuff tamei. I made it meduma. I made it was menasechet. In order they shouldn't transgress the aveira of eating the stuff, right? Rabbi Yochanan says the opposite. He says hezek shenikar lapsh mehezek. And B'dinei Shafilu Memezi, the unrecognizable hezek, religious damage, not damage. B'dinei Shafilu Memezi, pater really, even if he didn't intentionally, he should be exempt. The Lam Ruchai, why they say he's liable? Mishum Knas. So Knas is fine. The Rabbi Yochanan the proof Rabbi Yochanan from here, and skip the next 3 lines, but we plugged them before, and the rest of it is superfluous. Just go for Hanoisen, at the end of the 3rd line coming, you see that, Hanoisen? Is a riot, Rabbi Yochanan says. Hanoisen o gabi parasu shel chaver. If you put a yoke on your friend's para aduma, pater midini adam, you're pater from human payment, chayiv dinei shamayim, and only liable in the hands of heaven to make him some restitution. So we see here explicitly that hezek shein or nikar lapsh me hezek. Here in our Mishnah where he did it b'mezid, we give a knas. There by the paraduma wasn't mezid, therefore there's no knas. But we see that the ikra adin hezek shein or nikar lapsh me hezek. It's not a son which you can file a suit for in a human court. And we'll stop here for today.
It's not.